fighting games suck. They just do. They're way too combo driven to where now every fighting game that I've seen has just evolved into a mess of just using your abilities, and your opponent just stands there, blocks them, absolutely no reaction, and then they hit you with a combo, boom, you're up toes to the sky, and now you're on like 25% health, and they're like, all right, come at me, and you're just kind of stuck like that, because now you're 25% health going up against someone who's full health, and it's just like, man, I don't got a chance. And the only way you can get that chance back is if you pull off that exact same combo, maybe bring him down to like 17%. And now it's just a little bit of a standstill. He goes in, you block it, y'all scoot back, and it's like, is is this really how we want to be playing fighting games, guys? Like, just to the point to where if you miss a single move, boom, your entire legacy's over, you know? It's so like upsetting to me. Just I kind of realized it a while back ago that like fighting games now are just hitting combos and then trying to deal as much damage as possible so your opponent doesn't have a chance to fight back. And it's like, is that what we're really playing these games for? So we can flawlessly execute a combo on somebody, you know? Because personally, while I play fighting games, specifically the ones I play like Strongest Battlegrounds, the reason why I play those games and the reason why I enjoy those games is because you get to do the things that those characters do in their animes or shows, like with Mortal Kombat or whatever, you know? Like using Strongest Battlegrounds because that's the one I play mostly, Garo and Flowing Water, you know? Whenever I see someone using flowing water, or whenever I use flowing water, I think about that scene from the anime where he was fighting Tank Top Master, you know, and it's like, yeah, now I'm fighting with that, and that's cool. That's what draws me into fighting games. And maybe y'all are different. Maybe y'all are like, just beating someone to a pulp and then going to the next server and doing it all over again, over and over and over and over again, you know. But that's not how I like. I like playing the games I play because you get to do the things from the anime that the characters do, and that's a good feeling. You get to feel that like, oh, I just did what he did. I got to land a black flash. And you get that same like satisfaction almost. But when you're just stuck in a combo the whole time, you don't get that because do you ever see Garo just keep someone suspended in the air for 10 minutes? You know? Do you ever see like Genos just, hit someone with the back of ignition burst and spin around and hit him in the face at the same time? Do you ever see Saitama using shove to extend his combos of normal play? You don't. You don't. Cuz all of the like mechanics of the game, like the M1s, like the dashes, they get twisted and warped into this optimization. They get turned into this, okay, how can I use my dashes to extend my combos? How can I deal the most damage without them escaping, without giving them a chance to fight back so I can win, you know? And I get wanting to win, but it just it takes the joy out of it, you know? It's like if you pulled up to a 100-meter dash with a sports car, you'd win instantly, but you don't get that same feeling of, sprinting right next to somebody and having to just go as hard as you can, just a little bit faster, just to pass the finish line, so you can beat them. You don't get that same feeling because now it turns into this, oh, I'm just doing it to be efficient. I'm doing it to get my medal and go home, you know? And that's not what it's about for me. What it's about is doing the thing that they do in the anime. So what can you do? As a gamer, someone who wants to play fighting games, who thinks it's cool, what can you do? Well, right now there really isn't a lot you can do. There's really no fighting game out there that does not have some form of a juggle move of keeping your opponent up in the air and just beating them up. It really isn't a fighting game like that. But as someone who's just speaking into a microphone, I'll say this: what would the perfect fighting game look like? And for me, what that would look like is the same format and style of how fighting games are now, but just make it to where juggle moves aren't able to be done through heavy optimization of dashes and stuff like that. And what I mean is, in a lot of fighting games, every single one I've played, if you get hit with like a big move or a heavy move or whatever, you get launched up into the air. You're incapacitated. You're out of the game until you get up, you know? And I think for me, the perfect fighting game wouldn't have you ever, your feet would never leave the ground, you know? And it would look like a little bit more balanced. You know, there is no really winning or losing. I mean, you would definitely still be able to kill people and stuff like that, but I think for me it'd be more balanced to where, you know, punches are landing and stuff like that, but people are blocking. And a great example of this, because I was rewatching this recently, was Combat Gods. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the guy who made it, but Combat Gods. It is great animation, but in a lot of, specifically Combat Gods 2, they really focus on how they're swinging a lot. Both Jin and Shinji are swinging a lot. They're really trying to get the other person, but at the same time, hits that like land and deal damage are very like rare, you know? And it's only when they're able to perfectly utilize, you know, fighting their opponent, for lack of a better term here. And I think this is what a perfect fighting game would look like for me. A game to where if you're ever getting punched, you can, you know, block with like your right hand, you know, or whatever, you know, and you can reduce damage. You can get out of moves. You can hit opponents while they're hitting you. And you have to stay on your toes the entire time. And with this, specifically with this Combat Gods, I'll play it on screen as I'm talking about it. But right here, you can see that they kind of grapple for a second, you know, and they're holding each other's arms before they swing again. And I feel like it's little things like that that would make a fighting game awesome. You know, having the moment where, you know, your opponent thinks they have you, and then boom, you grab their arms, and now like you elbow them in the face, you know? And as on the opposite end of that, if you were fighting someone and they grabbed your arms, you would have the ability to, like, you know, sweep their legs or something like that. And you would always have to be alternating between offense and defense and synergy, you know? And I recognize that this would be difficult to make as a game, you know, because you would have to somehow code it to where you could block and fight at the same time and still make that balanced, you know? But that's the kind of game that I would like to see. A game to where if you're ever getting in a combo or if you're ever getting hit or something like that, you have the ability to change the tide of the battle right then and there. You don't have to wait for, you know, you don't have to wait for you to get up. You know, you don't have to wait for them to miss a move. You know, you have the power to just stop their combo if you grab their arm or do something they don't expect. You know, and a lot of live streams I've done recently have had I've talked about combo potential and how annoying that is. You know, and just I never really explained it live, but I'll do that now. You know, just because to me, combo potential in Strongest Battlegrounds, what it means to me is like how effectively your character can use their moves, like to make a combo, you know, back to back to back, you know, without them escaping or whatever, you know. And I feel like Tatsumaki, you know, I say, man, she is so annoying, you know, like I can't stand Tatsumaki in the Strongest Battlegrounds because her combos are so simple. And I feel like that's what makes her so powerful is all her moves can be used right after another, you know? Versus with Metal Bat, like home run, when you knock them into the air, it's like, oh well, like, you know, I'll try to use foul ball, maybe I'll grab them, maybe I won't. You know, it's not as guaranteed. But with Tatsumaki, what makes that so annoying is then if you mess up like once, like on Metal Bat or something, and you miss a swing, then you're in a combo for a long time. And this is really annoying because I've had fights to where I'm at like maybe like 40% health and they're at like 30% health. And I'm like, all right, I just need two moves to kill them, right? And then I rush in and they block it and then I'm dead because they hit every single one of their moves in coordination with each other. It's just like, are you kidding me? You know, you can just string them all together like that and now I'm just dead, you know? And what makes this so frustrating is the fact that, you know, once you're caught in that combo, if you don't have an evasive, you know, you're just stuck. You might as well just set down your controller because if they don't make a mistake, and 9 times out of 10, they never make a mistake. If they don't make a mistake, you're just cooked. You have to sit there and take it and just kind of accept your fate of like, all right, well, I'm gonna die, better luck next time, and it's like, is this how we want fighting games to go? To where it's just like, if you hit a good combo, you're dead. Because I get the whole wanting to kill someone as fast as possible. I get that. But at the same time, it's like, I know combos can be satisfying to land, but for me, what keeps me engaged, other than just like doing the thing, like I was talking about earlier, other than that, it's the back and forth, it's the struggle, it's the coming back, it's the clutch of it, of being down on your luck and then pulling off a good combo. I get that feeling, but at the same time, I feel like it would just be so much better encapsulated in a game that looked like Combat Gods in the sense of combat style, because then at any point you can change the course of the battle. If they use a move and you block it, if you think they're going to go for a right punch and you block it on the right, boom, you just change the tide of battle. Now you can punch them. But at the same time, with the Combat Gods game, like, you would still be able to get somebody, because let's just say they block right and you hit them in the left. Boom. Okay, you landed a successful hit. And then they go for a hit and you duck it, and then you boom, punch them in the face. It's like, you can still have the combo element. You can still absolutely just decimate somebody. You can still just absolute steamroll somebody, boom, they're just cooked because they weren't good at the game. You can still have those moments, but at the same time, you don't have that phenomenon of just, oh, I messed up, now I'm dead, you know? Because that, for me, has just kind of killed the gameplay experience for me. Future Xbox Shark here. Just wanted to come in and say, with this fight that's going on right now in the background footage, as I was reviewing it and making this video together, I mean, putting it together. Anyways, I saw that right here, right? The whole combo potential thing that I'm talking about, I do it to this guy right here. And you can see, look at his health before my combo and then after my combo. Like, that's what I mean by combo potential, because I strung all those moves together pretty simply, and I didn't like fully maximize it because I've got other things to do other than play this game. And you can see how his health is just decimated. Like, he went from green to orange borderline into red. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, is this what you want in your game? You know what I'm saying? Because whenever I run into somebody like that, it's like, they're not that good. It's just, they practice their combos to the point to where, boom, they got it down pat and they never miss. So then if you charge at them with 75%, they know a 98% combo, and boom, you're on the floor dead. Because you missed one move, or they use their evasive. Like, I don't like the fact of getting knocked down and not be able to get up, because then it's like, you're just stuck there, and that kills the gameplay element for me, because it's like, you're just stuck, there is no gameplay in that. Now you're just waiting, but that's kind of all I got for this. It's just, I'll probably get a couple comments of people just talking about, oh, you're just bad at the game, you're just making things up, making problems out of nowhere, and it's like, it it's not a problem out of nowhere. It's the underdog problem. And clearly you don't have it. And it's not like you're some sweat who never goes outside, and whatever. Maybe it just came naturally to you, or whatever. I don't know you. But at the same time, it's like, I know that even if, never mind, even if you haven't experienced the effect of getting tossed around like a hacky sack and not getting a chance to fight back, even if you, that rhymes, by the way, even if you've never experienced that, like, wouldn't you much rather have a game that's much more fluid in the sense of, you can change the tide of battle anytime? Wouldn't that be so much more fun and engaging to play than just, oh, I rehearsed this combo for 10 hours yesterday and now I folded this guy like an absolute pro? Like, is that what you like? Is that what's fun for you, little Jim? But yeah, that's all I got for this. It's just, a lot of fighting games, are like this. And if y'all know of a fighting game that has what I'm talking about, please let me know. I'll play it live. subscribe so you see that. But yeah, that's all I got. Uh, y'all stay safe out there. Uh, Thank you for listening to me ramble. See y'all around. Bye bye.